You washed this morning. Maybe twice. Soap, shampoo, deodorant, maybe a third layer of fragrance on top of that. By the time you walked out the door, you had spent more effort erasing your own smell than most humans in history ever spent on anything related to hygiene at all. But the real answer to why you do this is far stranger than "it's polite" or "it's clean." You're not avoiding a smell. You're avoiding information. For most of human history, body odor wasn't something to hide. It was something to read. Your ancestors lived in small, tight groups where smell carried real data. Who was sick, who was afraid, who was related to you, who might make a good mate. Stripping that signal away wasn't even possible. There was no soap, there was no daily wash. There was just you, your sweat, and everyone close enough to notice it. So what exactly were they noticing? Start with sweat itself, because not all sweat is the same. You have two completely different sweat systems running on your skin right now. Eccrine glands, spread almost everywhere, produce thin, mostly odorless sweat built purely for cooling. Apocrine glands, clustered in your armpits and groin, do something stranger. They release a thicker fluid packed with proteins and fats that on their own smell like nothing. It's only after bacteria on your skin get to work breaking that fluid down that the actual odor appears. In other words, body odor was never really your scent. It was always a collaboration between you and trillions of microscopic organisms living on your skin. Why would your body bother building a second sweat system just for that? Because apocrine glands aren't built for temperature, they're built for communication. They sit exactly where your body wants a signal to concentrate, close to the parts of you most relevant to mating and kinship. This is the same glandular setup you'd find across much of the animal kingdom, where scent marks territory, signals fertility, and broadcasts identity long before any animal had a face you could read for emotion. You are, biologically, still equipped with a chemical signaling system from a time when smell did more social work than your eyes or your voice ever could. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. That system might still be doing more than you think. In 1995, researcher Klaus Wedekind ran an experiment that has become one of the most cited studies in the science of human attraction. He had men wear plain cotton t-shirts for 2 nights without deodorant, soap, or scented products of any kind. Then he had women smell those shirts and rate which scents they found most appealing. The results lined up with something nobody expected. Women consistently preferred the scent of men whose immune system genes, specifically a cluster called the major histocompatibility complex, were the most different from their own. The more genetically distinct the immune profile, the more attractive the smell. Why would that matter? Because offspring from genetically diverse immune systems tend to have stronger, more adaptable immunity themselves. Your nose, without your permission and without you ever consciously analyzing a single thing, may have been quietly screening potential mates for genetic compatibility this whole time. Researcher Johan Lundström, who has spent years studying how the human brain processes chemical signals from other people, has found that body odor activates regions of the brain tied to emotion and social judgment almost instantly, faster than your conscious mind can catch up and explain why you suddenly feel drawn to or repelled by someone you just met. So smell wasn't just background noise to your ancestors. It was an entire unspoken layer of social and biological information running constantly beneath language. Which raises an obvious question. If smell carried that much value, why did humans spend thousands of years trying to bury it? Some of the earliest archaeological evidence for perfume comes from ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, where scented oils and resins were used not for everyday hygiene, but for ritual, status, and religion. Strong, deliberate scent became a tool of the powerful. Pharaohs were buried with fragranced oils. Temples burned aromatic resin specifically because powerful smell was associated with the divine. Smell wasn't being erased yet. It was being curated, amplified, and controlled by whoever had the resources to do it. The shift toward actively hiding natural body odor came much later, and it wasn't really about bacteria or science. Researcher Paul Rozin, who has spent decades studying the psychology of disgust, has shown that disgust isn't a fixed biological reflex. It's heavily shaped by culture, and it spreads socially faster than almost any other emotion. Once a society decides a particular smell signals low status, poor health, or a lack of self-control, that association sticks, and people start organizing enormous amounts of behavior around avoiding it. By the time soap became widely available and affordable, hiding body odor wasn't just possible. It became a moral statement. Clean started to mean disciplined, trustworthy, respectable. Smelling like yourself started to mean the opposite. Doesn't that explain a strange amount of how billion-dollar industries operate today? The deodorant aisle in any store isn't really selling the absence of smell. It's selling the elimination of a signal your ancestors relied on. Every roll-on, every spray, every scented detergent is, in a very real biological sense, jamming a communication channel that existed long before anyone thought to monetize it. You're not just masking sweat, you're overriding millions of years of chemical signaling with a manufactured substitute, one specifically engineered to smell like nothing you'd ever encounter from another human body in nature. And yet, the old system hasn't gone anywhere. It's still running underneath all of it. You've felt this, even if you've never named it. Someone you've just met who you can't quite explain feeling comfortable around. A stranger who sets off a vague, wordless unease you can't justify with anything they've said or done. Some of that reaction may be social conditioning, but some of it may be older than that, a faint signal from a sense you've spent your entire life training yourself to ignore, because modern life rewards looking calm and smelling neutral far more than it rewards trusting your nose. So think again about this morning. The shower, the soap, the deodorant layered on top. You weren't just getting clean. You were quieting one of the oldest communication systems your body has, the same one that once told your ancestors who to trust, who to avoid, and who might be worth building a future with. The strange truth isn't that you wash to be polite. It's that you wash to stay unreadable, in a world where, for most of human history, being read was exactly the point.